All right, today we're going to do Thou Shalt Fight Fairly.
Are you a ticking time bomb of rage and bitterness? Are you so tired of counseling and self-control and talking it out that you just want to punch someone in the face? Do you believe that the best way to resolve conflict is with a couple of crossbows? Then e-fighting is just what you've been looking for. At e-fighting, our patented combat matching system narrows the field from millions of candidates to a highly select group of fighters that are compatible with you.
I get picked on a lot. I'm not really a violent person, but my counselor says I have pent-up aggression. That's why I love e-fighting, because I can fight people out there who are as wimpy as I am. Their scientifically based combat matching system even gives me a shot at winning.
My wife and I went from 2 incomes in an apartment to 1 income and a mortgage. I sit at a desk all day and click a mouse. It's so ordinary, but e-fighting gives me the opportunity to feel better about myself by beating up nerds.
To help you find your perfect match, we need to learn more about you. Our scientific rage questionnaire allows us to see how far you can be pushed before you go postal.
These young whippersnappers, the pierced navels, the tattoos, oh, the pink hair. I hate pink hair. How do they expect to be taken seriously? What they need is a good old-fashioned whooping, granny style. E-fighting lets me deliver just that.
My dad left before I was born. My mom works all the time. My older brother's a manic depressive, schizophrenic arsonist. I work at Medieval Times, and I'm related to Ryan Seacrest. I'm angry. I mean, look at me. I reek of teen angst. How else am I supposed to release it? Journaling? With e-fighting's combat matching system, I can let the healing begin.
E-fighting effectively cuts through all the hard work of picking a fight and picks one for you. It may be a more painful way to resolve conflict, but at least you never have to say, I'm sorry. E-fighting. Real conflict, no resolution.
I like that video. Be easy if you could just e-fight, right? Well, there's the top 4 harmful responses to conflict. 1, peace at all costs. That's where one person just avoids the conflict. They go stick their head in the sand and they just let whatever happens, happens. There's the win-lose. And I see this a lot at school with, you said, no, you did. It's all that you. So you're very defensive in this type. And then you don't count. You're invalidating the other person. You don't count, you don't matter. And then all-out war. And that's when it gets really, really bad.
Meet Brad and Jessica. They've been married for a while now, and like many couples, they don't always see eye to eye. They love each other, but conflicts arise and small misunderstandings escalate into what seems like a never-ending back and forth. Soon they're feeling angry, hurt, and resentful. They sit alone and wonder, how did we get here? Welcome to the crazy cycle. We all know that we should love our spouse, but many of us are unaware of the specific needs that God has built into men and women. He created women with a deep longing to feel loved. And in men, he put a strong desire for respect. When a husband doesn't feel respected by his wife, he reacts in unloving ways. And when a wife doesn't feel loved, she responds without respect. It's the crazy cycle. Our needs aren't met, so we respond negatively, hoping somehow it will change our spouse for the better. And a loving relationship descends into strife and distrust. Fortunately, God shows us a way to resist this downward spiral. In Ephesians, husbands are commanded to love their wives, and wives to respect their husbands. And just as Christ loves us unconditionally, we are to give love and respect at all times, whether we feel our spouse deserves it or not. As we put them first, we begin to recognize that their complaints are often a plea for love or respect. We trust that they are good-willed people. that even in moments of anger or selfishness, they want the marriage to flourish. This is how we end the crazy cycle, with a conscious commitment to love our wives, to respect our husbands no matter what. Brad and Jessica may not always see eye to eye, but they've broken out of the crazy cycle by living in accordance with God's good design.
That video made me think of Everybody Loves Raymond, because she's always calling him an idiot. And she's never feeling like he's loving or respecting her. If you watch that show, that's a good example of what that was about. Our first one, peace at all costs. Sometimes both partners avoid or deny conflict. One partner is the avoider, withdrawing at the onset of any conflict. This causes the anger to build, to be stuffed down, and resentment builds. This wreaks havoc. What happens when anger builds? Kaylee, what happens when anger builds? When you keep stuffing things back and anger builds up, what happens? Yeah, there's an explosion, right? Like a nuclear bomb. So this is probably not a very good way to do this, is it? Okay. Then there's the win-lose. Approaching a confrontation as an attack. You can't hear your partner, your friend, your parents. You can't emphasize with his or her needs or their needs and convey your listening while in self-defense mode. Now, in this mode, I have kids at school that do that, have girls involved in drama all the time. And what I tell them, for lack of better terms, I tell them they're each on mute, like you mute the volume on your TV, and they're not allowed to talk to each other. They can write it and swap notes. Why would I have them do that? Do you know? Actually, they can't interrupt each other. I don't care what they write to each other because it's not my fight. But you're right, they can't interrupt each other. So if it doesn't build up, and a lot of times they find out what they thought the fight was really about something different, or they were given some misinformation, or they learned that other people were feeding it and telling them things that weren't right. Then they can answer each other, and a lot of times it breaks down. I got tickled. There was one of those type fights this week, and a couple of girls came to me. That's what I told them to do. They typically bring their notes for me to shred afterwards, because we don't want to hand the notes out and let anybody get a hold of them. And they said, you can read it. And as I was reading it, one of them had written, when we get involved in the drama, and what they found out, there was outside people telling them things that wasn't right. When we get involved in this kind of drama, it makes us all look stupid. And which was a pretty true statement. You can't move forward and you can't grow if you're in the win-lose mode. The other one, and probably everybody has felt this sometime in an argument, is invalidated. You don't count. When you say something to somebody else, such as, you're overreacting, you don't feel that way. Well, do you really know how the other person feels? No. Only they know, right? Mm-hmm. If you think that, then you're stupid. You're invalidating them. This is a form of disregard, disrespect, and insensitivity. So who can really judge overreaction? How can you tell what someone is feeling? And then there's all-out war, which I've heard rumors there's been one of those this week. There's a pattern of aggressive fighting. Usually starts out verbal, a yelling match. Then it's probably the most dangerous of all unhealthy fighting tactics, because if it doesn't stop at the verbal or the yelling, what happens? It can get physical, can it? It includes name calling, insults, physical violence. Things are said and done that can never be taken back. When you're in this kind of war, a lot of times you'll say things that you know is going to hurt the other person. And You don't really meet them. Maybe at that moment in time you do. But once you say something, you can't take it back. Now, when my kids have been mad at me growing up, they've said, I hate you. I know as an adult that that's a tactic to hurt me. I can't remember. I don't think I've ever said it back, because for me to say it back would do 10 times more harm than if they said it to me. And so my typical answer is, that's okay. I still love you. But if your parent said to you, I hate you, then how much damage does that do? There was a case, and you girls, I don't know if you know about the case, Shannon Christian and Chris Newsom. There was a young couple. Shannon went to Halls when I taught there in middle school. When she was in high school, her and Chris, for some reason, was out on Magnolia Avenue. I think there were some friends they knew from college or something. They were abducted and kidnapped. She endured the most horrendous type of torture. She was raped repeatedly by several different men. She was forced to swallow acid and stuff to get rid of any kind of DNA. She begged to let them live. She promised them she would not tell anything. Chris was found, and they suspect he was alive when they crammed him in a trash can, but had been brutally beaten, and I think he'd been raped too. But it was awful. And during the trial, this was probably back in 98, 99, no, not 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. During the trial, her father was so angry, and you could see the stress on his face, and they kept police around him at all times, because if they had have let him go, he would have killed every one of them. And I think there was about 5 or 6 people involved. He was so angry, not just that his daughter was killed, but she was killed in such a brutal, horrific way. It destroyed his marriage. To lose a child like that is one of the worst things that could ever happen. To lose a child, period, is awful. It's one of the worst things that can happen. Just this past year, he now is going around and doing some talks and testifying. He has now forgiven the people. It doesn't mean that the people should get by free for because when you do something, there's consequences. You can be forgiven for what you do. They should still go to prison, but he has forgiven them, and he had to forgive them so that he could move forward. Because when you hate and you have that much anger and you hold it in, it's destroying you. And it literally was destroying him and his family and stuff. So part of the reason of doing this is to learn how to fight fairly. And we've seen this. We know how to fight not fairly. Everybody knows that. We can do that from the time we're that age. We can not fight fair. But what are some good There's 5 fair fighting techniques. So let's go over those and see what those look like. Healthy ways to tackle disagreements. That almost sounds funny. Dial down. Set the tone. Shut up and listen. Go on mute. Use I statements. Negotiate and compromise. So when you're dialing down, you should calm down before you can expect your partner, your friend, whoever, to communicate with them. You can take a deep breath, take a walk, get a drink of water, 5-minute drawing, self-talk, mindful. And what I have had the kids do is just write it out. That seems to work well at school. And actually, Tori and I used to use that. My daughter and I, when we would get into an argument, she'd go to her, I'd send her to her room, I'd go to my room, and we would write it out rather than trying to talk over each other. Consider what you need to express in the most respectful way possible. If I go at somebody and say you, then I'm not being respectful. But if I go in there and I say, this is how I feel, that's a much better attitude or tone to go. And when you're fighting with the opposite sex, ladies, the research shows that men usually need a minimum of 20 minutes to calm down. Now, I know that I get extremely angry sometimes. So when my kids were teenagers and they were in the house, I would say, I'm going to my room. You go to your room. Don't talk to me, because I needed to cool down. Because if I didn't cool down, I knew it wasn't going to be pretty. So that's what we do. Everybody goes to their own corners, kind of like going to your own corners and set time out. We all took a time out, and then usually we wrote it out. Set the tone. 10% of conflict is due to the difference of opinion. It can be over what to have for dinner. It can be the most stupidest thing to argue about. But 90% of it is the wrong tone of voice. So, I don't know why that's up there. The first few minutes are critical and set the tone for the rest of the conversation. When you approach your partner, your friend, whoever you're fighting with, your parents, in a tender, gentle manner, you're communicating a willingness to interact in a gracious, non-threatening way. Now, sometimes when you approach that person, they may still have a threatening type of voice. But if you keep yourself low and calm, it should bring them down. This makes a way for openness and respect. There's a verse in the Bible says, where there is no wood, there is no fire. If you keep throwing ammunition on the fire, it's not going to come down. It's just going to get bigger. Shut up and listen. And that's why I have people write it out, because usually when you're in that kind of disagreement, you don't shut up. When was the last time you really tried to listen and hear your partner, your friend, when you had a disagreement? Most people want to be heard first. They want to say their side first. Stephen Covey in his book revealed that the most effective communication principle is seek first to understand, then be understood. And that's what I found this week with the girls that were having the disagreement at school, is that they both wanted to say their side of the story, but when it all got down to it and they wrote their notes to each other, they discovered that they didn't have the problem. Somebody else was throwing wood on the fire. Try to understand on a deeper level. Try to walk in your partner or your friends or your parents' shoes. Because if I told somebody that I understood what it was like for my parents to die when I was a child, I really can't, because I still have my parents. But if somebody else can say that has lost their parents as a child, then there's a deeper understanding. I can try to understand some of the things you guys are going through, but if I haven't walked through it, it's hard for me to understand. So if I'm in a conflict with one of you, then I should try to understand where you're coming from. Then use I statements. I want, I feel, I would appreciate it if, I think, I need, I expect, I wish, I understood you to say. And if somebody tells you something, you say, I understood you to say, and if you don't get it right, then they need to say, no, that's not what I'm saying. That helps with the understanding. I thought you said, it was my understanding that, I guess I misheard, please. I would like it very much if. You don't punch them. You're going to be grounded. Okay. Once you've given your partner or friend or parent, whoever, the opportunity to communicate, and you have honestly tried to understand, then communicate your perspective using these I statements. I statements keeps from criticizing and focuses on how you're feeling. It does. It keeps you from using you statements. And nothing's more offensive than you. So then you go to negotiate and compromise. When you do this, you're trying to resolve the issues by talking it out. However, there will be times when differences still present a problem that must be solved. At this point, you're into problem-solving mode. Now, when you're in a blended family and you're talking Christmas time and stuff, there's a lot of conflicts. When you're in blended families and you're trying to hit everybody's Christmas schedule. My dad loves Christmas on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. With as large as our family is, that's not always possible. So we have to do Christmas maybe the Friday before or the week after. So there's compromises, and you have to be willing to give and take on those.
We're Chet and Susanna Baines. As marriage experts, we specialize in home modifications, which will help you improve the feng shui of your marriage.
Because home is where the heart is, we update, construct, and remodel your nightmare and flip it into the marriage of your dreams. We are
The Marriage Fixer-Uppers.
So guys, tell me exactly what's been going on.
I feel like he shuts down and never wants to talk about how he's feeling.
Oh yeah. We're gonna tear down that wall. Really open it up in here.
Perfect. That's what I want.
She doesn't understand the pressures I have at work. It's a lot to bear, and I have to do it on my own.
You definitely have a load-bearing issue, that's for sure. But don't worry.
Huh. Where's that stud?
Exactly. Where's the stud I married? The one that
Here we
pursued
go
me?
again, talking about how I've let myself go.
I
You know how many
didn't say
wads I
that.
do? I do like
Oh,
3
well,
wads.
you're gonna have to get started right away. Hey! Huh, looks like you got shiplap under here. You know what, your marriage is kind of like this new light fixture I just installed. Well, it's actually like this light bulb. You get what I'm saying?
Are you saying I need a new light bulb?
What? No. Your marriage just needs a little spark.
Are you even an electrician?
No, it's just anecdotal marriage analogies. That's what counts.
What in the world is that?
Those are the new his and her toilets. You see, marriage is about opening up and sharing everything together. We like to call it sharing our marriage bowels. A couple that goes together grows together. So guys, we don't have a lot of money left in the budget.
It's starting to sound a little bit like our marriage. Am I right? No.
But with the leftover money, you have one of 3 options to choose. Number 1, we have a beautiful walk-in closet for the master bedroom. Here we have a man cave with theater seating.
That one sounds good to me.
Just like you to think about yourself.
Oh, come on, guys. This is about talking, listening, making a decision together.
And number 3, a brand new in-ground swimming pool.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a nice compromise.
Why is Chet shirtless?
Well, I have a pool company, too. Just got my chest waxed.
Walk-in closet sounds great.
Are you guys ready to see the latest addition to your lovely home?
Yeah.
They are sure to bring this marriage back to good.
Ta-da! What is this?
It's a dog. See, nothing brings a couple closer together than having a common purpose, like being able to take care of a dog. Gets you more responsibility when it comes to taking care of the kids.
The kids?
No!
Whose kids are these?
You can't be serious.
Oh, hey, don't worry. We're turning John's office into a guest suite, so when the in-laws come to move in, everything will be taken care of.
You got rid of my office?
Oh, come on, like you ever did any work in there.
Not now, Brooke.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting again.
Oh, no!
I told you guys you weren't ready for kids.
These aren't our kids.
Well, it looks like our work is done here. Good job, honey.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
Problem solving mode. Identify the problem, list possible solutions. Any suggestion is fair, at this point is fair game. Commit to try one or a combination of solutions. Reevaluate your choice. Did it really work? If not, then you're still in problem solving mode. You haven't lost. It's not a win-lose. Consequences of breaking this commandment. Long-term problems in a relationship because you haven't learned to resolve things. Damage to the level of intimacy and communication between you and your partner. Higher levels of stress and discontentment. Missing out on learning all there is to know about your partner, your friend, your parents, your child, whatever, because you just shut down and you don't talk, and you don't want that. Benefits of keeping this commandment. Scholar likes the curtain. Greater level of respect in your relationship, and that could be friendship, parents, partners. Learn to resolve conflict and find solutions rather than seeing the same fights crop up over and over again. Have you ever heard this is a never-ending battle? This is all we do. You heard that? Experience greater levels of intimacy in your relationship because you've opened up the wall of communication. And you feel the freedom to express yourself without fear or apprehension. You can express yourself without feeling like they're going to say, well, that's stupid or that's dumb. You don't feel that way because you don't want to invalidate the other person, and you don't want to be invalidated. If you've broken this commandment, realize the conflict errors you've made. Be willing to apologize. Think before you speak. Choose your words and your approach carefully. Remember your body language. And then get into a discussion with a spirit of resolution, not just being right. We all want to be right, but that's not what this is about. This is about learning. If you can't learn to work cooperatively with your friends and your parents, you're going to have a hard time in any kind of marriage relationship. Because at some point you will break up. If you can't get past this, there will be no future. It's just it's kind of like what we talked about last week. Was it the Band-Aid rip method? If you pull a Band-Aid off a little bit at a time, it hurts for quite a while. But if you just go ahead and rip it off, it does hurt, but it gets you get done with it a lot quicker. Yeah. So that's kind of, if you can't resolve this, you might as well just pull that Band-Aid off and move on.
Go something like